What's up, tubers? Tio here, Simplistic Fishing. I have got a super interesting video for you tonight. We actually were breaking down Cedar Creek Lake Reservoir, and someone purchased a card and thought it was for Cedar Creek Lake in Kentucky, which I'd never even heard of Cedar Creek Lake in Kentucky. So I went out and looked to see what was out there, and I have found a golden gem. This one, it was actually impounded in 2002, so you're going to actually be able to see me take this back before the lake was even impounded, look at it, mark it all up, and then bring the water all back in. Probably one of the coolest ones I've ever done. Stick around, got some good stuff for you. I always start off these lake breakdowns on the state's fishing page. So here we are on Kentucky Fish and Wildlife page. Just gives us a little information about the lake, not a ton of information, but here you can see that Cedar Creek Lake is Kentucky's newest lake. It was impounded in 2002. The approximate acres is about 792 acres in size. The cool thing about this is if you look right here, they've established a 300-foot buffer zone around the entire lake to allow anglers fishing access the entire shoreline. Pretty cool stuff. You'll see the 3 boat ramps as we go through the breakdown. They've got a fishing pier out there as well. And the coolest thing about this one is the fish attractors and the habitat features that they have out there. So you can see down here, just real quick, special fishing regulations. Make sure you pay attention to that. But it also tells us what kind of fish are in this lake. So largemouth bass, black crappie, red ear sunfish, white crappie, channel catfish, and flathead catfish. And let's go ahead now and let's move up to here. Now I'm going to have to switch over, so the screen's going to go blank for a second, then we'll come right back. But let's click on this Cedar Creek Lake fish attractors in Google Maps and show you what Kentucky provided us, because it's really, really cool. So here we are after I click the Google Earth link, and this takes us into Kentucky Fisheries map that they provided, and it is super, super awesome. I don't know if they do this for all the other lakes on Kentucky. If they do, it's going to be super exciting as we continue to break down lakes in the area. But this has got some great information on it. Over here on the left-hand side, I'll just uncheck these 2 things. You can see here that they've got the fish attractors all iconed out. So stake beds, gravel beds, that's a gravel bed there. That's actually a rock reef. These are stake beds as well. Those were all marked for you on the, or will be marked for you on the Google Earth stuff that we're getting ready to look at. We've also got the contours, which is super cool. Not usually I can't get the contours onto Google Earth, but in this case, the Kentucky Fisheries actually provided that to us. And so now we've got all these great contours. So you can really see where good points are and stuff like that on the lake. But with all the other stuff found, I don't think you're going to have to worry about just trying to find points. And then here's your boat lanes too. So if you put in everything all together, you've got the contours, the fish attractors, and the boat lanes. So all kinds of good stuff. Let's switch over to Google Earth. We're going to take all this information, we're going to plug it into Google Earth, and we're also going to bring the lake down. I think you guys are going to be amazed at what we found. As I mentioned in the introduction, this is going to be probably one of the coolest Google Earth videos that you'll see me do, because this is a super, super, super cool lake, and it's so new. It was just impounded in 2002 that we were able to see all kinds of cool stuff. So let's go ahead and start over here on the left-hand side and just show you what I found here. Now, first off, based on the website, what we were talking about, I've added those boat lanes. You can now see the boat lanes. Those are here in the lighter blue color. Uncheck all this so you can see this. That's the stuff here in the lighter blue color. We also have the contours for this lake, which was cool that Kentucky provided that. So now we have the contours here inside of Google Earth, which is really cool. I don't think I've ever had that really that good. We have some of that stuff in Texas, but it's not like this, not this great. We also have attractors. So Kentucky's put out fish attractors out here. So now we have all those marked for you. And those are actually labeled as stake beds, brush, stuff like that. There's actually a reef out there as well, rock reef out there as well that you can take a look at. So some cool stuff out there. We've also got channels and ditches. And because I was able to pull this back before the lake was actually even impounded, I was able to mark that creek channel almost exactly where it's at. So you'll be able to follow that creek channel all the way through the lake and know exactly where it is. I've also got a couple different areas where I found some cover, basically just things that I was able to find that I need to mark for you, like bridge and some rocky areas and stuff like that. Also, because again, I saw it before it was flooded, I was able to mark where the foundations were of the houses that used to be out there. So now you've got all of these houses that are marked. I've also got this here, which is the lake outline, which I'll explain in a minute. We've got a couple ramps. I believe there's 3 different ramps on this lake that you can see here. I have those marked for you. And then also roads. So all of the old roads that went, I've got all those marked for you too. So you'll know exactly where the road beds are. And believe it or not, this is the only lake I can do it on, but I was actually able to find the tree lines, the old tree lines before the lake was again impounded. So some really cool stuff on this. Let's go ahead and I'm just going to select everything here. And first, I just want to show this to you. Actually, I'm going to take this view away. And first, I want to show you just kind of what this, it looks like a bunch of squirrely lines. I know it's craziness in your head, but once I show it to you, it'll all start to make sense. So let's go ahead and go up here. And I'm going to take this image back. It's on 2020 right now. So you can see I don't have a lot of stuff marked on this lake because there's not a lot of stuff to mark. But I'm telling you what I have marked, I think is really going to help you out. So what we're going to do here is we're going to pull this back to 2002. And this is going to start to make a little bit more sense. And I might actually have to go get that chart back just so I can kind of show you where I'm at. But here we are, 1998, right? The lake is not even here yet. So what I had to do first off was I had to go up. I think I'm going to have to pull that sidebar back up. What I had to do was first off, I had to go out here and figure out exactly where the outline of the lake was. So I went off to 2020 first and I outlined the lake. So this was my way of outlining the lake to see exactly where it is. So that's all you got to worry about on that. So that's the last time you'll see those lines because that's just confusing you. So now I've just got this blank palette, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to start to put some stuff in here. We're going to go ahead and put the contours on. So now we can kind of see where the contours are. They're kind of hard to see because this is black and white, but you can see it a little bit. First, let's talk about the attractors. So these are the attractors I put on here for you. And these are all perfectly coordinated based off of what we pulled off the website that we talked about. So you got gravel beds out here. You got a stake bed here, a rock reef, a couple stake beds, brush, more brush. So some really good stuff. You've also got a stake bed that's up there as well. Then when we start talking about the channels and the ditches, well, if you look here on this image, you can see where the creek channel is. So what I've done is I've marked the creek channel for this entire lake. Anywhere where I saw a creek channel, I went ahead and marked it. That's going to be the green line, okay? Now the blue lines, those are going to be ditches. And you can see here that we've got ditches that have been formed from little creeks coming through the fields where they've created these ditches that come down here. And there's actually a little creek that flows kind of up against this tree line that's right here. And so those creeks were flowing down into the other creek, and that creek was actually flowing out over to here into this little creek bed here. So you've got that creek, those creeks, those ditches. You've got a pretty big ditch that's up here too that you can see. And this is going to look totally different, of course, when I pull the water in. Another really good ditch that's right out here. And then, of course, you guys see all those road beds and stuff. There's some more ditches up there. All right, so now we've marked the creek beds, we've marked the fish attractors, we've marked the ditches. I mean, this is cool stuff. This is stuff we don't usually get to see on a lake, especially when we get to look at it with no water. Now we're going to add a little bit of cover. So the cover is going to be a little bit different. We'll probably have to talk about that rock when we bring the lake back up. But a couple things I want to show you here. One is these ponds. So notice these yellow circles, or sorry, orange circles. The orange circles are where the ponds were. So if I zoom in here, you can see where the ponds are. I might even have an image. Thought at one time I had a color image of this, but I guess not. But you can see where the old ponds are. Now, they didn't mark this one on the Kentucky page, but they did mark this one. They actually had it marked on the wrong area, though. They had it marked more on like this little tree line that you see here. All right, so that is going to be our cover, right? Not a lot of cover, at least from what we could really tell. I mean, obviously there's stuff around the bank line, but cover that we can mark for you. Not a lot of stuff there. So then we go and we look at houses. So what all houses were here before the lake was flooded? And so what I did was I went back again. Of course, I'm using that lake outline to figure out exactly where the lake is. And then based on that, I'm going and I'm finding the homes that were here before the lake was flooded. And so these are going to be all old foundations. And I noticed that this foundation right here actually has a gravel bed right on top of it, which is very interesting because I didn't know that until just a few minutes ago when I brought in those points. Now we've also got boat ramps. So I talked about the boat ramps. And then we have roads. So we have all these red lines that you see here. These are all road beds. So here's the old road bed that went through here. So you can really get on here and scan around these road beds. You can see I've marked them all for you guys. Scan around these road beds and really figure out where some good stuff is there. You're going to find gravel. You're going to find all kinds of good stuff. You got roads there. Now up in here, there weren't too many roads up here, just the ditch and the big creek channel here. But you did have a road that's up here that went down through here and went up towards the dam that's right here. You also got an old house, some house foundations up here as well. So cool stuff. So the red lines are going to be your roads. Hopefully it's all starting to make sense now. And then now I'm going to add in these yellow lines. Now these yellow lines are going to be the tree lines. So what I did was I just went through and just marked where the major tree lines were. And that's what all these yellow lines are. This is a really cool area right in here. You got a lot of underwater trees. They're going to be right here in this area. You can see a little bit. It may be hard to tell on YouTube, but you've got some contours right here. So the outline of the lake is very close to there. This is the outline of the lake, and this is that tree line that comes out. It's almost like a little point right here that ends at this road. And also you've got a road and a creek bed coming together. You can see these red lines. These are those roads and those tree lines. Here's another good tree line area up here. I mean, just a big old area in the lake that you could work around and find some stuff. You got good home foundations. You can look around. If we move up here, you see more of the tree lines. So all of these yellow lines are marking the tree lines. Here you've got three very distinct tree lines, and then you got the main boundary that's out here. Tree lines here as well, some ditches. So some cool stuff. So now you got all these lines, you know what they all mean. Then what we're going to do is we're going to add in these blue lines, which are actually the boat lanes that were provided by Kentucky. Now they provided these blue, the blue or the larger blue areas. I don't know how those are going to pull up on your graph. So what I did was I made a track that just outline those blue areas. So that way, when you put this on your graph, they'll all come up as just lines. So what we're going to do now is we're going to bring this back to 2020. We're going to take off that outline so it's not so confusing. Now we've got all of our lines here, right? There's your boat lane that they provided. Here's all the stuff we talked about. And now just zooming in and showing these couple areas. Once I did finally get to go in and look at the lake, once I had the water up, really the only things I were finding was just this rock in these areas. You got a little shallow rock in there as well. Didn't really see too much because I can't get the lake drawing down that much, believe it or not. It's either full or completely empty. So then up here too, I found some more rock that was up here. Obviously got those ramps, but there appears to be some pretty decent rock around this bank line, like right in here and right in here. So those can be good areas. But all this stuff right here, like these bushes that are sticking up out of the water, these old trees, I mean, flipping the city, that's going to be fun stuff to flip around. Just a lot of good cover, a lot of good trees. I mean, look at all these trees to fish around. Just good stuff to fish around. But now you know where all those fence lines are. You know where all those tree lines are. You can see the contours on Google Earth. I mean, you could really map something out on this lake. So guys, I hope that helps you out. We have all these waypoints out on simplisticfishing.com. Just go out there and check it out. Also make sure to go check out our sponsor as well, omniafishing.com. I got the link in the description. But by the way, on those cards, you can actually buy the digital file or you can buy the SD card. And basically what that's going to do is take all these waypoints and tracks that we talked about today, put them onto a card for you, and you'll import that into your graph and you'll have it when you're out there fishing. It'll totally change the way you fish and really allow you to pattern things on the lake. So go check it out, simplisticfishing.com. And until next time, I hope you catch your PB. Take it easy.